Got my own chart. I'll try not to repeat what many of the things my colleagues have already stated. I do want to thank Senator Cornyn and Senator Cruz for hosting it. I want to thank the brave men and women of Customs and Border Protection Patrol for their heroic efforts in the face of resistance from the President and the administration. I want to thank you for being here. This gallery should be filled. The border ought to have journalists from every news outlet down there covering this human tragedy, this humanitarian crisis. The numbers just can't convey it adequately. I mean, the number 3.7 million encounters since President Biden took office. We were down there, the sheriffs, the landowners, talking about more than 500 dead bodies last year found in the desert, desiccated, animal chewed. We could show the pictures, but they are horrific. They're on pace for over 700 dead bodies being found this year. We had one of the larger mass murders in America recently. Didn't involve guns. It involved a semi-trailer and the human traffickers, some of the most evil people on the planet. 53 people died, including 3 children, in that mass murder. Where's the news coverage about that? Where's the focus? Why aren't the news media drawing the American public's attention to this humanitarian crisis? One of the reasons I like to use my chart is it shows the history of this. The little blip on the left-hand side, that was 2,000 people per day being encountered. That's what President Obama labeled a humanitarian crisis. I have this chart available. It shows the cause and effect of different policy actions. But you can see that obviously President Trump, for a host of reasons, all of a sudden was in his own crisis. Over 4,000 people per day. Then he fixed it. There were no laws passed. President Trump just fixed it by entering into agreements with Central American countries, with Mexico, the return in Mexico policy. There's a consequence to entering this country illegally. And we pretty well stopped the flow of unaccompanied children, of family units exploiting our laws. Even single adult illegal immigration declined until the presidential debates with Democrat presidential candidates said they were not going to deport people. They're going to offer illegal immigrants free health care. And then, of course, President Biden took office, dismantled all those successful programs, and now we're dealing with over 6,000 people per day since President Biden took office. 6,000 people. That's a large caravan every day. The last 4 months, it's been over 7,000 people per day. But again, the numbers don't really describe the tragedy. I mean, as Chairman of Homeland Security, I've been down to the border multiple times. I always see something new. But I'm always profoundly disturbed. You see the pictures, you can see the numbers, but when you're there at midnight and you see a small group containing children, you see a little 6-year-old and a little 7-year-old girl unaccompanied. The human traffickers are putting together this group. Fortunately, that group didn't abuse them. But all they have is they've got a little packet, a little plastic bag with their birth certificate and a note card with a number and an address. That's their only connection. They lose that and they are lost. Can you imagine being a parent or a grandparent, turning your 6 or 7-year-old daughters over to some of the most evil people on the planet? Can you imagine that? Why is that happening? It's because President Biden has decided to open our borders. His policies have caused this. This didn't just happen. He's just not unlucky. He's the root cause. His policies are the root cause. And the result of his open border policy, he is facilitating the multi-billion-dollar business model. A back of the envelope calculation after our briefing, I figure it's about $18.3 billion per year. I know I've heard 4 or 5 billion. No, it's much larger, $18.3 billion. It is the multi-billion-dollar business model of some of the most evil people on the planet. I can't even describe some of the horrific treatment that is being carried out by these evil people. So again, when we were down the border, I called on President Biden, Vice President Harris, who, by the way, ought to know better. She was on my committee. She should have heard, or at least her staff should have heard, testimony of how the human traffickers will sell children. One figure was $84 to create a family unit to exploit our laws. But the lesson of this chart is we can fix this. We know how to do it. And of course, this is the first step if we want to establish a functioning legal system, which I want to do. If we want to take care of the DACA kids, fix that problem. The first step is securing our borders. And among many tragedies, that's one of the tragedies of President Biden blowing it all up, is he blew up our opportunity for real immigration reform and a legal system for these people. So again, thank you for coming. Please ask your colleagues in the media, why aren't they covering this? Why are they covering up for the Biden administration? Why aren't they telling these stories, these tragedies? Why don't they cover that mass murder with as much gusto as they cover gun crimes? This is thousands of orders of magnitude worse. As horrific as any mass shooting is, this is thousands of orders of magnitude worse a crisis than what the mainstream media actually pays attention to. Start paying attention to it. Start informing the American public. The American public needs to know what is happening on our border and the threat it represents to all of us in terms of national and homeland security. Senator Langford.